On this episode of AV Week, we take a look back at 2019, the year that was the biggest stories that were including lawsuits and new technology. Also take a look ahead of what's going to come down the pipeline in 2020. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 437, recorded Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. This is 2020.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Extron, industry-leading technology backed by world-class support.
And by
Vadio, makers of the new NDI professional broadcast camera, the RoboShot 30E NDI.
And by
QSC, who invites you to go native with the QSys audio, video, and control ecosystem.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. Welcome to the end of the year, first of the year show. This is our annual time to kind of sit back, relax, and pontificate with some friends of mine on what the biggest stories were of the year, and also allow us to see into the future and tell you what we think is going to be the biggest ones for 2020. With me to do just that, first and foremost, my buddy Megan Dutta, who is with SCN and AV Network. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Also with us is Kelly Perkins, who is with NSCA. Welcome.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué pasa? Next up is Mr. Chris Netto, who is with Starin Marketing and also hosts a conversation on Sunday mornings called #AV in the AM. Welcome, sir.
How are you, Tim?
I am well. And I saved Bradford for last because once I introduced Bradford, the show is no longer mine. My boss and buddy and pal, Mr. Bradford Ben. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Timothy. I can promise you the show will not last long. I have tickets to go see the Rise of Skywalker in 32 hours. So we'll definitely be done before that. So it'll be a good time. I have to give the disclaimer. Anything I say here is my opinion only. I speak for nobody, not even Tim. And they're my opinions, does not reflect the opinions of my employer, my wife, my friends, my enemies, no one but me, and that's the disclaimer for today. So, Tim, why don't you start us off with a couple of questions?
All right. Bradford mentioned Star Wars. We are recording this on Wednesday, December 18th, honestly, because unless something massive happens between now and the next 12 days, this will be the biggest ones of the year. So, Megan, actually, we're going to start with you on this. Simple question to all of you. What were the biggest stories of 2019 sitting right here, right now, midway through December?
I think one of the biggest stories of the year, and I've already pulled our top 40 stories for the year, and every story that talks about this is in the top 40, is the Clear One Shure ongoing litigation. Clear One, for those that don't know, filed a lawsuit against Shure for trade secret misappropriation and willful patent infringement. Shure filed a patent infringement lawsuit back, and they've gone back and forth on it throughout the year. It's been all over, much discussed on Twitter, with people's opinions on not only the lawsuits, but both companies.
Part of that saga has been the federal court, who actually filed an injunction against Shure, saying that they could not sell and or market that specific product in the U.S. is my understanding of it, and I think that is still in effect as of right now. Is that right?
Yes, and Shure actually retooled the product so that they can sell it again in the U.S., and they just sent a press release today that'll be up on our website soon, saying that it's now shipping.
Okay, so their solution to that. Bradford, from your standpoint, as somebody who now you've gone from manufacturer into, let's say, end user world, and calling Bradford an end user is a little bit like calling a Lamborghini a car. But let's just say it. What does stuff like that do when you're looking at projects that, to be frank, your projects typically are 18, 24 months out. You see, hiccups like this along the way. Do you course correct, or is it just like, they'll figure it out eventually? we're going down this road?
Actually, from the beginning, before any of this happens, typically we come up with, we need this type of performance and we prefer this brand, and then, or approved equal. So right now I can tell you that for every speaker I have another brand of speaker, because we kind of plan on some of this. It's an unfortunate thing. Part of it's also that when you have projects, like you said, with long lead times, you have problems with products going obsolete. Changes in manufacturing, changes in the sales team, changes in all sorts of stuff, changes in ownership. Just look at some of that. So we kind of develop our systems by performance specs and then say, we prefer X because, we want to have some control and be able to minimize spares. But we don't say we are only using this product for. It's a combination of, we don't take the design away from the integrator. We want our integrators to do the design, but it's also the problem of it goes obsolete. The patents happen. To me, that's just kind of part of business, especially now in the modern age. But because a lot of the stuff we use is not commoditized like a conference room product, it's less of a risk for us, but it is definitely something we look at and are aware of. There are a couple of products that we've designed around, and if those go away, we're going to have to start at ground zero.
Yeah, but hopefully a lot of times you'll get enough of a heads up that, hey, this is going away, so you can make those adjustments.
Yeah, and usually we do. Our good vendors will give us a roadmap that we can't share. But there are changes. There are supply issues. It sounds odd, but I'm just as much affected by Chinese tariffs on products as I am on this Shore and Clearcom discussion. It's kind of take your pick as to what you want to worry about. We all know that beryllium speakers, neodymium speakers went up in cost. We all know that, certain microphones have stopped being made. It's kind of like the Rojas or lead-free situation earlier. And that's as much of an issue as these, I don't want to say small legal fights, but as these legal issues. It's the year earlier, it was the barcode click share. And for my use, I can tell you the only barcode click share I have in the entire system is the one that we use in the conference room.
No.
Because it's not part of my system.
Absolutely. All right, Ms. Perkins, we'll come over with you with us. What, from your standpoint, was the biggest stories of 2019?
I would say the codes and compliances in the legislature that the electrical folks have brought to our attention, partly because I work with Chuck Wilson and he talks about it nonstop for like lengthy hours. So it's affected me, but I think it's also affected a lot of our organizations, integration organizations. So I think like just the fact that because now we have, the Internet of Things and power over Ethernet, and we're kind of encroaching on, the electrical industry and their trade. I think that they've kind of, instead of kind of taking the angle of let's work together, it's more like, okay, integration firms, low voltage are, encroaching on us, so let's set up a wall. So they brought a whole bunch of legislature state by state to lower the wattage and the voltage of what they need to get high voltage electricians to call them in to do it. So there's some states where I can't remember if it was New Jersey or New York, so don't quote me on this, but it was something where you'd have to call an electrician if it was 10 volts or higher.
Yeah.
So that really makes it difficult for our integration firms to do their jobs, right? So I think that's a big piece, and I don't think it's been talked about a lot over the year. It seems to me like it's kind of hidden. I talk to people about it and they don't really know much about it, and I thought it was just interesting to bring it up because a whole bunch of associations in our industry, NSCA, CEDIA, CompTIA, CTA, BICSI, AVIXA, and a whole bunch of other organizations around the country have created this kind of consortium to really combat some of this and watch the legislature and make sure that we are able as integrators to continue to do our business. So I think, like I said, maybe it's because I work with Chuck all the time, but it seems to be a larger deal that people don't know a lot about.
Thank you so much for watching the first segment of AV Week. To see the entire episode, click on the link below and watch while we talk about what's coming down the pipeline in 2020. Or you can go by the website, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv.